Good morning. My name is Jerry Carr. I'll be your worship associate today. Welcome to Bay Area Unitarian Universalist Church. We are glad to have you join us in person and online today. If you are visiting for the first time, we welcome you. Our minister, Reverend Katie McQuaige-Lucas, will return next week, and today our speaker will be our longtime member and frequent speaker, Alok Kalia. There are many ways in which our community lives out our mission to change the lives and heal the world. Here are just a few of those ways. If you haven't picked up your pledge packet yet, please stop by the table in the parlor and pick it up today. We're hoping to have all pledges turned in as soon as possible so that we can start budgeting for the new fiscal year. And now I'd like to invite Terry Grimm up for another special announcement.
Good morning. It's so exciting to see everybody wearing my favorite color. I'm trying to get people signed up for the visioning workshop, which is this Saturday from 10 until 3. The majority will be finished by 2 for those of you that have to leave early, but we're hoping some people stay till 3. We're going to serve you lunch. In order to do that, we need to know who's showing up so we can order lunch. We don't have a fishes and loaves thing. We need to order enough food for everybody. It's a fun workshop. It's facilitated. You'll be talking to other members of the church about what you want to see in the church as we go forward. You know, people are asking for a strategic plan, but unless you know what you want, it's hard to build a plan to get there. So please come. If you're new, you bring a perspective that's fresh and represents a lot of the new people. If you're an older member, by that, years in the church, you're bringing, a lot of the history and depth of what's worked for us. If you're young, this church is going to be yours in 10 years. So if you're 16, we need you at 26, what you need the church to be. And so we need the diversity of experience from everybody to come. So please come. It'll be fun. And just sign up. Barbara Brandon has a clipboard. So if you don't want to send her an RSVP, it's real easy just to sign your name. And we need you at the meeting Saturday. So thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Did you know that BAUUC is having a Fringe Art Fest on April 12th and 13th? We are currently looking for artists who would like to sell their work, individuals or groups to provide live music for short periods for tips, and also donated items for a bake sale. We have a sign-up sheet in Cockrell Hall lobby that lists other ways you can help and make the Fringe Art Fest be a success. Be sure to save the dates and tell your friends about this fun event. If you are interested in reserving a booth or volunteering, please contact Marles Dennison at fringeart@bauuc.org. And Easter is coming, so get ready for an unforgettable Sunday here at BAUC. Join us on Sunday, March 31st at 10 a.m. in Cockrell Hall for a delightful Easter brunch. I guess it'll be before the service, huh? We've got the ham covered, but we need you to bring your favorite breakfast casserole, pastries, fruit, or any dish that makes your taste buds hop with joy. You can sign up using sign-up sheet in the parlor or the QR code on the screen. After the service, the Easter egg hunt will kick off, promising laughter and joy for toddlers through 5th graders. Don't forget your baskets. The Easter Bunny has promised to pop in for photos. Join us as we come together in celebration and fellowship at this joyous Easter gathering. One of our biggest fundraisers of the year is our garage sale, which is getting closer, and we need your help to make it a success. There is a volunteer sign-up sheet in the order of service. Please take a moment to sign up to spend an hour or two helping with the sale. It's also a great way to get to know other church members and also start checking your garage and closets for items for the sale. You can begin dropping them off at 2 on Sunday, March 31st. And after today's service, please be sure to join us in Cockrell Hall for coffee and light snacks and fellowship. Everyone is welcome. And finally, if you're not on our email list, you can sign up on our website at bauc.org. We send out an email of BAUC news and events every Tuesday that contains these and many other activities that are happening in our church. We have some special visitors today. Dan and Dana Lusk are here today, and they were married here 30 years ago, and they're going to come up and light our chalice today. This light we kindle is set in the lamp of our history. We inherit this free faith from the brave and gentle, fierce and outspoken, hearts and minds that have come before us. Let us be worthy inheritors of this faith, and through our good works, pass it boldly to a new generation. Thank you. Now please stand in body or spirit for our opening hymn. This is a song you'll be familiar with, but Terry has written some different words, so read the words on the screen. Sorry, I'm next. We gather in religious community, connected not by a common creed, but by the promises and commitments we make to live together in freedom and faith. Our church covenant is a statement of how we hope to be in this world, a proclamation of the aspirations and affirmations we share for creating a society defined by compassion and love. The words are based on historic statements of faith written by late 19th century Unitarian James Vila Blake and 20th century Universalist L. Griswold Adams. Please join me in saying our shared promise to be together in a spirit of faith, freedom, and commitment. Love is the doctrine of this church, and the crest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, thus do we covenant with one another.
under a curse. Your life is bad. Your prospects are worse. Your wife is sighing, crying, and your olive tree is dying. Temples are graying and teeth are decaying and creditors weighing your purse. Your mood and your robe are both a deep blue. You bet that Job had nothing on you. Don't forget that when you go to heaven, you'll be blessed. Yes, it's all for the best.
Some men are born to live at ease, doing what they please, richer than the bees are in honey. Never growing old, never feeling cold, pulling pots of gold from thin air. The best in every town, best of shaking down, best of making mountains of money. They can't take it with them, but what do they care? They get the center of the meat, cushions on the seat, houses on the street where it's sunny. Summers by the sea, winters warm and free, all of this and we get the rest. But who is the land for, the sun and the sand for? You guessed, it's all for the best.
When you feel sad or under a curse, your life is bad.
Never growing old, never feeling
Your
cold,
prospects
pulling
are
pots of gold
worse.
from thin air.
Your wife
The
is
best in every
sighing,
town, best of shaking down, best
crying,
of making
and your
mountains of
olive tree is
money.
dying.
They can't
Temples are
take
graying
it
and
with
teeth are
them,
decaying
but
and
what
kindred is
do
weighing.
they
Your
care?
purse,
They
your mood,
get
and
the
your
center
robe
of the meat, cushions on the seat,
are both a
houses
deep
on the
blue.
street where it's sun.
You bet that
Summers
Job
by the sea, winters warm and
had
free, all of
nothing
us
on
and
you.
we get the rest.
Just remember
But
when
who is the
you
land
get
for,
to
the sun
heaven,
and the
you'll
sand
be
for?
blessed.
You
Yes,
it's all for the.
You must never be distressed.
Yes, it's all for the.
All your wrongs will be redressed.
Yes, it's all for the. Someone's got to be oppressed. Yes, it's all for the best.
Good morning. My name is Gloria Miller, and I am the acting religious education director. Our story today, or our tale for all ages, is When Sophie Gets Angry, Really, Really Angry, by Molly Bang. Sophie was busy playing when her sister grabbed a gorilla. My turn. No, said Sophie. Yes, said her mother. It is her turn now, Sophie. As her sister snatched a gorilla away, Sophie fell over the truck. Oh, is Sophie ever angry now? She kicks, she screams, she wants to smash the world to smithereens. She roars a red, red roar. Sophie is a volcano ready to explode. And when Sophie gets angry, really, really angry, she runs. She runs and runs and runs until she cannot run anymore. And then, for a little while, she cries. And then she sees the rocks, the trees and ferns. She hears a bird. And she comes to the old beech tree. She climbs and feels the breeze blow her hair. She watches the water and the waves. The wide world comforts her. Sophie feels better now. She climbs back down and heads for home. The house is warm, it smells good, and everyone is glad that she's home. Everything is back together again.
Jace will be our keeper of the flame.
Good morning. We have at least two psychologists in the audience, and they were smiling at the story, and they know what the story was about, and the story is going to come up again. So today's service is about the rational and the emotional, about the IQ, Intelligence Quotient, and the EI, Emotional Intelligence. Let me start with the IQ. We all sort of know what the IQ is. We know that it's measured using standardized tests, that the results are usually expressed as a number, and the higher your number, the smarter you are, right? I've been throwing around the word IQ for the last 60 years. I'm old. But I never really thought to dig into the history to see where it came from. It's a fascinating story. The first standardized tests for measuring intelligence was published in 1905 by two French psychologists. Their name was Alfred Binet and Theodore Simon. The Binet-Simon scale was designed to identify school children who were performing below grade level, below their age level, so they could get some extra help. Well, the Binet-Simon scale crossed over into the US and quickly became a much-used tool. What was behind the popularity of that scale? And the answer is simple and consists of only one word, and the word is eugenics. Okay? Eugenics is the effort to improve the human race by selective breeding. Of course, proponents of eugenics don't ever mean the whole human race, right? They always talk about the subset of the race that they belong to. In this country, eugenics was very popular between 1900 and about 1950. In a public address in 1923, Dr. William Mayo, one of the founders of the Mayo Clinic, advocated a robust sterilization program for the feeble-minded and criminals, and limits on the immigration of defectives. Around the same time, Dr. John Kellogg, who invented cornflakes, advocated sterilization of defectives, encouragement of eugenic marriages, and a eugenics registry for the development of a race of human thoroughbreds. Proponents of eugenics helped pass laws such as the Immigration Act of 1924, which encouraged immigration from Northern and Western Europe, Nordics, English, Germans, limited immigration from Eastern Europe and Southern Europe, Jews and Italians, and completely banned immigration from Asia. And that act was not overturned until 1965. In 1927, the US Supreme Court legalized involuntary sterilization of criminals and the feeble-minded. And they were done. And I shudder to think of surgery, forced surgery being done before the age of antibiotics. In this frenzy, the Binet-Simon intelligence test was the perfect tool for identifying the feeble-minded. In 1908, Henry Goddard, who at the time was director of research for a school for the feeble-minded in New Jersey, translated the Binet-Simon scale into English and distributed over 20,000 copies all over the country. Goddard suggested that colonies be established for segregation of the feeble-minded. Next came Louis Terman, an American psychologist and also a proponent of eugenics. Terman was a professor at Stanford, and he revised the Binet-Simon scale into what is now known as the Stanford-Binet scale, which is still used today, some versions of it. So that's where the Stanford-Binet test came from. Terman tested school children to identify the ones he called high-grade defectives and supported curtailing the reproduction of the feeble-minded. But Terman also believed that intelligence is inherited. And his real focus was to select the high IQ children, the gifted, because, and I quote, "the future welfare of the country hinges in no small degree upon the right education of these superior children." Terman had elevated high IQ to a place of honor as a predictor to success in life. So that's where it started. But then, as Paul Harvey used to say, what about the rest of the story? Some of you are too young for that. To prove his hypothesis, in 1921, Terwell started the study of the gifted, in which he followed 1,500 children from upper and middle class families long term. Over the years, yes, some of these kids went on to become stars. But in Terman's words, most pursued common occupations, as humble as those of policemen, seamen, typists, and filing clerks. In 1947, after approximately 2 decades of follow-up, Terman conceded, "We have seen that intellect and achievement are far from perfectly correlated." So there's that. Now we come to the meditation, and I thought we'll have some fun today. Now, I meditate every day. I didn't say I try to, I do. I meditate every day. Meditation calms me. It lowers my stress level. It makes me more sensitive to the emotions, to my own emotions, and the emotions and needs of others. To quote Dan Harris, who's author of a popular meditation book, meditation makes me 10% happier. And that's good enough for me. But when I urge my friends to give meditation a try, a common answer I get is, "I could never meditate. I can't ever still my mind." Right? Well, meditation is not about stilling the mind. It is not about controlling one's thoughts. That's not possible. Meditation is about focusing on an activity such as breathing. And when you catch the mind wandering, you gently bring it back to the object of focus, the breath. And you do it over and over again. That's it. That's it. But just sitting and breathing, even for 5 minutes, seems to be too much for most people. The good news is that you don't have to use your breath as the focus. You can use anything. How about a salad? All right? So I want you all to come with me on a journey of imagination. Imagine that you're sitting at a table. No TV, no books to read, no conversation. Just you and a beautiful plate of salad in front of you. You're going to focus on that, okay? You pick up your fork and you spear half of a grape tomato. You don't put it in your mouth yet. You look at it. You focus on it. You look at the cut side. 2 seed compartments separated by some red fleshy pulp. You look at the whole side, smooth, red, shining in the light. You pop the tomato into your mouth and you lay down the fork. From this point on, each time you pick up the fork, it will be a reminder to check if your mind has wandered. And if it has, you will bring it back to the salad. So now the tomato is in your mouth, and you use your tongue to gently explore the smooth side and the cut side. You notice that one side is firm, the other is soft. You place the tomato between your teeth and you squeeze gently. You taste the tangy juice that spurts out. You start chewing. The pulp goes first and then the skin. You swallow. You pick up the fork and you look at it. Has my mind wandered? No, I'm still focused. So you pick up a piece of mushroom. The surface is light brown with dark speckles. It's a baby Bella. You see the gills on the cut surface, paper thin, almost black, surrounded by cream-colored flesh. You put the mushroom in your mouth. You put down your fork. You start to chew slowly. The flesh is soft but crisp. It's a fresh mushroom. Have you ever wondered how mushrooms can grow in the dark without sunlight? We have a lot of sunlight these days, right? The sun doesn't set till almost 7. That's dinner time. I bought some dinner plates yesterday. They look real pretty. You're chewing. It's gone. You absent-mindedly pick up the fork. The fork, what was I thinking? My mind has wandered. You bring it back to the salad. You spear a piece of broccoli. You pick it up, look at it, and you put it in your mouth. And that, my friends, is meditation. No more excuses, right? We now have a chance for those of us who are celebrating, have some joys, to come up and light a candle. Those who are grieving, sorrowing, those who are worried about themselves or somebody else, please come up and light a candle and be a part of the community. If you want a candle brought to you, please raise your hand and we'll bring you a candle. So. Thank you. And we last a final candle for all that was left unsaid and for all those who could not be here today. Well, you're standing in front of the Apple display at HEB. You want some apples, of course you're going to look at the price. But really, which apple you buy will depend on whether you like the Honeycrisp better than the Granny Smith. And FYI, I looked up Granny Smith. She was a lady in Australia with the last name of Smith who developed that apple more than 150 years ago. So there was a Granny Smith. So you will buy the apple that you like. Like is an emotion. And emotions affect so many of our decisions, from the apples we buy to who we choose as a life partner. Somewhat surprisingly, until about 3 decades ago, psychologists, and I have 2 friends in the audience who are psychologists, so I'm a little scared as I say this, but until about 3 decades ago, psychologists pushed the idea that emotions are unwelcome intruders into the decision-making process. That the ability to make rational decisions decides the course, the success of one's life. Furthermore, that ability to make rational decisions can be quantified using standardized tests. And these tests are what we commonly call IQ tests. These tests focus on memory recall, on being able to use logic to answer questions in math and language, and on the ability to solve puzzles. And at first glance, it would seem that these abilities should be the primary determinants of academic achievement and professional success. And yes, the IQ score does seem to have a reasonable correlation with academic performance. But if you think about it, this may not be surprising because tests such as the SAT look for many of the same abilities as IQ tests. Questions in math and language, solving puzzles. However, long-term studies have shown that neither the IQ nor academic performance has a good correlation with professional success, defined as job performance, income, and the status achieved in one's chosen profession. Of course, fields such as designing rockets, we have rocket scientists in the room, I'm sure. Yeah, I see one. Fields such as designing rockets or splitting the atom or rearranging the genetic code will always have a good proportion of high IQ individuals, right? But these jobs are in the minority. It has been estimated that for the broader population, the IQ and academic achievement contribute perhaps 20% towards success in later life. The Mensa Society, which only accepts individuals who score in the top 2% of IQ tests, has among its members scientists, college professors, CEOs, but also homemakers, firefighters, actors, athletes, musicians, and so on. And all that these people have in common is a high IQ. It seems that to function in society, a person, yes, needs to have adequate math and language skills. But beyond a certain IQ level, beyond a certain level of math and language skills, other abilities become important. abilities that are not addressed by IQ tests. What are these abilities? Well, in the first group are what we call personality traits. Perhaps the most important is impulse control, the ability to work towards a more rewarding but distant goal instead of grabbing what is available right now. The others include persistence. We call it grit. When knocked down, to get up, dust yourself off, and carry on. And then there is outlook. Some people are naturally optimistic, and that helps. And then, of course, the ability to take risks, a high risk tolerance. Can't be a CEO without that, right? And in the second group are emotions. An essential part of life, but a part that is completely ignored by IQ tests. While psychologists have long studied abnormal emotional states, such as mania, such as depression, until recently they seem to have ignored the role of normal emotions in everyday life. Why might that be? Well, some people, let me back up. How many of you are old enough to have heard of a bank robber called Willie Sutton? Anyone? Right. Willie Sutton. So when Willie was asked why he robbed bank, he said, well, that's where the money is. Okay? So in short, go for the money, right? Some people think that something similar happened in the field of psychology. You see, questions involving math and language and the ability to solve puzzles can be evaluated with yes-no answers. These lead to research papers with lots of numbers and lots of statistics, and those papers are easier to publish. But how do you quantitate emotion? How do you quantitate love and compare between two people? How do you quantitate grief? How do you quantitate pain? When you go to the hospital, they give you that pain scale, right, 1 to 10, but two people might offer 3 on one side, other guys got 7. It's personal, right? So emotions were ignored, and if you look back at the history, sometimes they were even ridiculed as getting in the way of a fulfilling life. But measurable or not, how well a person handles emotions does matter. The term emotional intelligence was made popular by Daniel Goleman, a psychologist, when he published a book by the same name in 1995. In the book, Goleman talks about the importance of recognizing and handling one's own emotions, being sensitive and empathetic to the emotions of others, the ability to self-motivate, and skillfully managing relationships. But of course, Goleman, all he did really was to shine a light on the elephant in the room. That, in addition to a rational mind, we have an emotional mind. And the two interact to make decisions. The mechanism of the interaction is what interests me, and for the rest of this talk, I'm going to focus on that. So only in a UU church do you have PowerPoint slides during a sermon. Oh, we forgot the contribution. We're going to stop right here. We're going to stop right here, and we're going to collect some money. Okay? So that was the teaser for the sermon. Now we do the money, and then we'll see. And if you want to hear the rest of it, you better come up with some money. Okay? So the contribution for the work of this church will now be collected. So, please open your wallets and support each other. For those listening at home, you can also contribute by text or on the website. This gift from the abundance of my life blesses me, our ministries, and the world. Okay. All right, the talk, part 2. Okay, so what we are going to do in the next few minutes is to see how emotion and rational thinking interact. And for that, we have to take a walk inside the brain. Okay. So let's go. So our brain is the product of millions of years of evolution. And each set of new parts rises from the one below, like building a skyscraper. Is there a mouse in here somewhere? Yeah, there it is. Not very visible. Anyway, the lowest part of the brain is called the brainstem. That's the oldest part. Above that is what's called the midbrain. In the midbrain, there is a set of structures which together form what we call the limbic system. And we're going to talk about the limbic system today. And above that, of course, is the cerebral cortex, which is the newest part of our brain. The brain stem is old. It has many, many functions. Among them is automated reflexes. So when a rattlesnake rattles its rattle, can you say that 3 times? When it senses danger, that's the reptilian brain. You've heard about the reptilian brain, right? The limbic system is our emotional brain. We'll talk a lot about that today. And then above that is the cerebral cortex, which, among other things, is our rational brain. So this is a simplified picture. Today we will not talk about the brainstem, and so let's make that disappear and take the brain and enlarge it a little bit. That's my brain and yours. So we have the limbic system in the midbrain, and up above is where the cortex is going to come. In the limbic system, there is an area called the thalamus. You don't have to remember these names, I'm just showing off. But the job of the thalamus is to receive information from our sense organs. You know, what the eyes see, what the ears hear. So think of the thalamus as the mail room of a big company. So it gets thousands of pieces of mail a day. Well, the thalamus gets thousands of pieces of information every second. And just like the mail room, its job is to take all the letters coming in sort them, and send them to the proper place to be read. And it does that. So the information goes to the cortex, which is the blue part, for interpretation. The information from the eye, for example, goes to the back of the head. That's where we read I letters. The information from the ears goes about here. That's where we open the letters coming from the ears. And once the letters have been opened and read, then these areas pass the information to an area in front of the cortex, right here. That's called the prefrontal cortex. That is our rational mind, the thinking mind. And the thinking mind then has to decide, what to do with the information. What the heck happened there? Yeah. So there's the information is there. For example, if you are stopped at a traffic light, and then the eyes say, hey, the light has turned green, and the ears say the guy behind is honking, the rational mind say, hey, time to step on the gas. It's as simple as that, okay? What I'm going to do, just to keep it even simpler, I'm going to assume that the information from the mailroom, the thalamus, goes straight to the rational brain. We know it goes back and forth and all that, but ultimately it gets to the rational brain. As soon as the rational brain gets information on which it needs to work, it makes a copy and forwards it to another part of the limbic system called the amygdala. The amygdala is our emotional brain. It's the seat of our emotions. And this is where we keep memories of emotion, especially emotions like fear and danger. Emotions or memories that are imprinted in the amygdala, in the emotional memory, when we are under stress, when stress hormones are in the system, are imprinted deep. They are lifelong. Let me give you an example. How many of you remember where you were when you saw the towers of the Twin Trades, World Trade Center attacked and burning? Raise your hands if you remember where you were. All right, now keep your hands up for just a minute. Now, that was September 11, right? If you can tell me where you were at the same time on September 10, keep your hands up. One hand, 2, 3. Case closed, right? So those memories are etched deep. PTSD is the emotional center getting hammered over and over again. Okay? The amygdala, it has strong opinions. It's a bit of a brat. Okay? And it can actually screw up our lives if you let it. So I'm going to simplify this even more. So now we have the mailroom that sends messages to the rational brain, that makes a copy, sends it to the emotional brain, and the rational and the emotional brain then chit-chat to decide what to do. So let's take some examples, all right? We're going to run a few minutes over, guys. So this is my rational brain, and this is my emotional brain. You are back at HEB, and you want to buy some salad dressing, your favorite salad dressing. You notice that the 4-ounce bottle is $2, and the 8-ounce bottle is $3. Right? How do you decide which one to buy? So the rational brain, this one looks at the data, looks at the numbers, says, need to buy the bigger bottle. It's a better deal, right? But it asks the emotional brain, you got anything to say about this? And there's not much emotion involved in buying a bottle of salad dressing, right? So the emotional brain says, nah, you take this one. So we buy the bigger bottle. That was purely a rational decision. But now, another situation. You're sitting in your living room and saying, man, this place looks drab. I'm going to repaint. And you think, blue would look nice. But you can't decide which shade of blue. what to do. The rational mind knows you want to repaint, but it can't tell you which shade of blue to choose. So it asks the emotional brain, hey, help me on this. And the emotional brain says, go to Sherwin-Williams, get those cards that have shades of blue on them, and show me some of those cards, right? And the emotional brain looks at the card and says, I like that one. Like emotion, right? And you paint that color. This was purely an emotional decision. So we do some of that. But now let's go to a third situation. You're hunting for a house. And being a rational person, you've looked at your finances and you've decided how much you can pay. And you find a house in just the right neighborhood, except the price is higher than what you can really afford. But you really, really like the house. Now, if you buy the house, you won't be able to go on the vacation that you and the kids have been dreaming about all year long. Will you buy the house? You see? You started with the rational, the numbers. This is what I can afford. And then the amygdala jumped in. Man, that's a nice house. Let's do it. And some people might say, you know what? There'll be another house, right? I'm going to go on the vacation. And others will say, nah, there'll be another vacation. I'm going to buy the house. So that's how the two work together, right? So you started with the rational, ended with the emotional, they talked. Let's take the other example. So the ladies, you are in the market for a new dress. You walk into the store, and you see this absolutely fabulous dress. I mean, that thing is going to look so good on you. You'll love it. And then you turn over the price tag, and it's twice as much as you had planned to pay. Will you buy the dress? See, you start with the emotional, and now the price tag, the rational jumped in. I did a straw poll among some of the ladies in the audience, and with one exception, they all looked at me and said, are you stupid? Of course I'll buy the dress. One who shall, well, I'll tell you who it was. I asked Ruth. She was the exception. She looked at me and said, are you stupid? Of course I won't buy the dress. You see, she's the level-headed one, where the rational prevailed, you see? But the point is, neither the rational nor the emotional win all the time, okay? There were 4 situations. Now, I'm going to go to the 5th and the last one, and the most important one. All right. So, your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, is having a good day. He's walking down a trail in the jungle, turns around a bend, and suddenly sees this angry-looking grizzly coming at him. What do you do? Well, if he waits for the mailroom to send a letter to the rational brain, and the rational brain then copies the emotional brain, and they're trying to decide what to do, he's a dead man. Okay? Luckily, our brain has figured this out. And there is a direct connection between the mailroom and the emotional brain. And that information, so what the mailroom does, it takes about 20% of the information coming in and sends it straight to the emotional brain. And the emotional brain has this big album full of scenarios where memories that occurred during fear, during stress, are listed. And it takes the information and starts matching quickly. And if there's a match, it rings the alarm bell, and it starts the fight or flight reaction, the stress reaction. Your body is full of hormones, right? Your blood pressure is up, your heart rate is up, your muscles are tense, your pupils are wide, so your field of vision is this thing. You're ready for action. All this happens before the rational brain even knows what's going on. The rational brain is cut out of the decision-making process. This is called an amygdala hijack. If you don't remember anything I've said today, remember this one. This is important. Okay? The amygdala hijack can get us into more trouble than any other situation. Okay? Now, of course, we don't see grizzlies too much anymore these days, right? Unfortunately, the amygdala equates emotional threat with physical threat. Have you seen a person just lose their cool, turn red in the face, start throwing things and yelling? Have you heard of a road rage situation that ended with somebody getting killed? Have you ever written an angry email and hit send, and then 5 seconds later said, why the heck did I do that? Have you ever been a little girl called Sophie who wanted her gorilla and then lost it? That was all amygdala hijack. Okay? So how do you build up defenses? Now remember, the thinking brain will get the message just a few nanoseconds later, and it'll probably come up with a better solution than blowing up. And it can even calm the amygdala, but that takes a minute or two. And so what you have to, the first 10 or 20 seconds of the hijack are critical. If you can realize there's a hijack happening and take steps, the best thing to do, and if you don't remember the word amygdala, just call it an emotional hijack, or I'm being hijacked. If you think you're being hijacked, the best thing to do, most of the time, is to remove yourself from the situation. Like the little girl did, she went out. Calm down and come back. You see? Or the famous count to 10 before you speak. That's the reason. You're giving the rational brain a few seconds, right? Or you can use a pre-prepared mantra. Stay calm. Stay calm. I'm going to stay calm. And if the hijack situation occurs again and again, if you have a coworker who keeps getting under your skin, or a teenager who likes to mouth off, okay? Prepare a little script in your mind, and when that starts, you know what you say? In President Reagan's words during a debate long ago, there she goes again, right? There he goes again. And what will happen is you'll stay calm while the other person is mouthing off. So there it is. Emotions can bring us great joy. They can also lead us into actions that we might later regret. Emotional intelligence is the ability to observe our emotions as they arise and to manage them wisely. We cannot really change our IQ, but with a little work, we can improve our emotional intelligence. And in my opinion, the best way to be more emotionally intelligent is to add more calm to everyday life. This gives us more time, makes us more aware of our own emotions and the emotions and needs of others. When you're in a hurry, remember, you don't care what's happening around you. This gives us the opportunity to notice an emotion as it arises. I am angry. If I say that, that means anger already has control of me. But if you say, I'm feeling anger, you're at a distance, okay? And then you have time to see the emotion arise and to manage it more productively. One easy way to add calm to your life is meditation. And one easy way to meditate is to mindfully and slowly enjoy a salad a few times a week, right? So as a physician, here's a piece of free advice, medical advice, right? Eating a salad once in a while is not only good for your health, it might even make you more intelligent, at least emotionally. Thank you. All right, folks, for the closing song, number 347 in the gray hymnal, Gather the Spirit.
Amen.
Be ours a religion. Be ours a religion which, like sunshine, goes everywhere. Its temple, all space. Its shrine, the good heart. Its creed, all truth. Its ritual, works of love. Its profession of faith, divine living. Blessed be. Thank you.